systems of measurement. Okay, different people and countries use different units and systems of measurement, even though we all measure the same things like distance, time. For example, when it comes to measuring distance, some people use meters while others use feet. Okay, there are two main types of measurement. These are this is the what, the imperial system and the metric system. Imperial system and the metric system. As you can see here, the imperial system is here and the metric system. This is America telling the world what to, hey, fuck off with your metric system. Okay, the imperial system is mostly used by America and to some extent Britain. All right, and the metric system is used by the rest of the world officially. All right, so you see, this is the metric system. I will talk about what the metric system is and what the imperial system is. But first of all, you have to know. Imagine it's only America and Liberia. Liberia say their official one is the imperial. You know, imperial system. The ones you see on red here, they are the only few. Myanmar. That is like Myanmar. What is the country called? I think Burma. Okay, Liberia and America. These are the only three countries that say, hey, our official system is the imperial system. All right. And UK, they are on the fence. They are the ones who caused this, even. They are the ones who caused all these divisions. They are the ones. I will tell you why they are the ones who caused this, and now they are sitting on the fence. All right. So the metric system and the imperial system. All right. So the metric system. Sorry, let's start with the imperial system. Okay, this system of measurement originates from the British Empire. Okay, in Imperial Britain in the 19th century. Okay, so you see, the imperial system came about. It's like the olden types of measurement where the people used to use their foot. Probably they use the foot of the king to measure like if what a foot is from here to here, or they use like the hands, or they use body parts, and they use the parts of like plants. Before it was so primitive, it was so old, and the British got used to it, and the British did something. They were able to standardize it because before, if there is a change, let's say of a king or a queen, now a foot will change, because now if you have a king with this big foot, the foot will become big. You will be like, okay, give me a foot of meat or whatever, and that person will give you a big meat. And then when there is a king or queen with small feet, and then that person will give you a small meat, because they will be like, now if it has changed, whatever. But the imperial system, when it came about, they just maintain the same thing, but they say that, hey, this feet is from here to here. Whoever the king is, it will, whether the king has a longer foot or a shorter foot, whatever, a foot is a foot, and they say that, a yard is a yard. They began, making yard milestone. All this stuff is old and ancient. All right, the British just, they just like, added a little bit of standardization on it, and in every country they have their own type of measurement. The French, they use their own type of measurement. The Germans, all of them have different types of measurement. It was so scattered everywhere. All right. So there was a time the French, all right, the French came up with the meter, all right. I don't know whether you can see it here. This is the meter, all right. This distance here is the meter, all right. 1 meter is like this. I don't know what they base it. They say it's from, I don't know, from Barcelona, from the equator all the way to Paris. I don't know what they did to have a meter. It was during the French Revolution, and then they say that a meter is now that thing. And it was a very important revolution, and they tried to standardize everything to create a metric system that the whole world can adopt. But then Britain was like, Britain, what I like about Britain is that, they are so unique. They don't want to be the same with the world. They are so unique. Like, let's say everybody is driving probably on the left, I don't know, right, and they decide to drive on another side. That's why we all have left-sided vehicles, whatever. And then, everybody say, let's use the euro, and they're like, no, we good with our British pounds. So Britain, they are unique, all right? So when the French, this is my own opinion, by the way, when the French came up with this beautiful thing called the meter and the metric system. Okay, the British hesitated to adopt it because it wasn't British, probably, and the British and the French were not in good terms, and Britain was controlling half of the world, more than half of the world. It was the most powerful. So because the imperial system to me does not make any sense. It does not make. It's something that is old and it should be discarded. It should be thrown away in the dustbin. The metric system is the best. That's why all the world has adopted the metric system. But what about America? What does America has to do with this? All right. So when the French came up with this meter and the metric system was being developed, all this while, okay, the Britain was colonizing the US. Okay. So and then when the US got independent, they inherited the imperial system from Britain. All right. By then, also, even though America got independent, still now Britain is the most important, is the most powerful in the world. Okay, and then they were all over the world still maintaining this imperial system. They are like, no, the metric system. Even though they know that the metric system is the best. All right, they know that what is the imperial system? These are like talking about feet, yard, ounces, gallons, pounds. All right, now we have evolved. Now we're talking about meters, centimeters, kilometers, liters. Now we're talking about tons. We are talking about kilograms. All right, but the old system of gallons, using like bottles of gallons, cups, pins. These are all imperial types, and they don't have like definite conversions. They are but America took it from Britain, and then America started to develop America. They started developing using this imperial system. They didn't know about what's happening in Europe most of the time. They were doing their own thing. And then when America become like powerful, they are still using the imperial system. And then also they are like, okay, we know that the metric system is the best, but we have been using imperial, and we are America. We don't care. We are going to use the imperial system. All right. And then Britain was like, now let us all go to the metric system. But it's too late, man. It's too late. Even right now, the British are still using the imperial system. They are still on the fence, whatever. That is mostly if America has adopted the metric system, we will not be hearing things like pounds anymore. We will not be hearing things like yards, things like feet, things like pounds, things like inches. But now they are popular. You have a 6-inch TV, 30-inch, 1-inch nail. You hear about this, like all these things. Hey, this is 50 feet long or 5-foot cable. The reason why we are still using it today is because even America themselves, they try to go to the metric system. They even created a board called, I think, the United States Metric Board. They created a whole board so that board can turn America from an imperial system to a metric system, but it failed, and that board was disbanded. All right, so that's why today we have America, Liberia, and Myanmar that say they are using the imperial system. All right, so we say that the imperial system it developed in Britain, whatever. It is mainly derived from human body parts, particularly those of kings. The imperial systems came about as a need for standardized and regularize just insane. It's just a little push of the needle, It's not like it's the French, that overwhelmingly changed how we measure things. And they came up with the meter, le meter, le meter. And it significantly changed everything. It's not that the French, were hesitant, the British were hesitant because, they were like, we have already built all our roads and we put them mile signs, miles, 5 miles. Even Gambia here, we have mile 2 prison, mile, all this stuff, So, so it's like the English, they just standardized a little bit the old stuff, but they did not make it like the French did it. All right. So, like here, for example, you see, I've mentioned here, some of its units include what yards, feet, pounds, and inches. All right. It is important to note that the imperial system is just a small extension upgrade of the old way of measuring stuff. Okay. That means that a foot or yard of something, for instance, will not be referenced from the king or queen anymore, but is standardized and fixed no matter who becomes the king or ruler. Okay. I've mentioned that there are 3 countries that that are using it mainly, they are USA, Myanmar, and Liberia. The reason why the imperial system is still widely used today is because USA, which is the most powerful country in the world today, is still using it as their official standard. Okay, they call it the United States customary units. Okay, there are many imperial units of measurement, but we will focus mostly on the common ones such as feet, yards, and gallons. All right, so here, even the USA today, it's not like all their sectors that are using the imperial system. All right. If you talk about their military, the military is using the metric system. All right. Remember, I told you the metric system is about the new ones, which is meters, centimeters, kilometers, like degrees Celsius. America, they are still using Fahrenheit imperial system. All right. So America is not all their industries. Some of like their medical industry, they are using the metric system. Okay, it's only the general American day of life that they are using the imperial system. All right, you see, they are using the body a yard. This is how they used to measure a yard, a cubit, whatever. All right, so let's talk about these things. All right, length. When it comes to measuring length or distance in the imperial system, remember we use inches, right? We use inches to measure very, very small objects. All right, inch, and this symbol is IN. Okay, how reference is like the length of the last bone of the pointing finger. All right, let's say an inch is like this. An inch from here to here is like an inch. And then you have foot, you have yard, you have miles. All right, when you want to measure very long distance, like the distance between two places, you use miles. When you want to measure like smaller things, you use yards. All right, 5 yards, 6 yards. Like in football, we talk about the 18-yard box. Okay, and it's like a yard is like the distance between the center of your chest to the end of like this thing. I think I made pictures to explain all this thing. You'll see it below. And you have all these things. So what do we use to measure area? Sometimes we use, like I said, x to the power 2 means if you use feet and you are using area, you say square foot, square feet, or you are using like yards, you say square yard or cubic yards, like in the case of volume. All right. So you see for them, their units are like this inch. I'm sure you hear about this inch, you hear about foot, you hear about miles, you hear about yards, you have about miles. All this stuff. And you have an acre, 5 acres of land. What is an acre? Like it's 3/4 of a football field. Like for large areas, probably you are measuring like plantations or like real estate. Like somebody will say, I have like 3 acres of land. I'll tell you what all these things mean. And volume, okay? Cubic x. Remember, volume contains a cubic square. It means that you are combining 3 lengths together. All right. Cubic foot, cubic inches, cubic yard, cubic x, where x means inches, man, depending on which one you use. All right, they use cup still now. They use a measurement called cup. All right, half of this bottle is called a cup because a cup is like 250 milliliters, something like. They use quarts. What is quarts? Quarts is like the volume, the size of probably a Don Simon bottle. They use gallon. What is a gallon? We still use gallon today. A gallon of oil, a gallon of this. They use barrel. A barrel of oil. We still use it. A barrel. You see all the references are here. You can read all about it. Weight. They use ounce. They use pounds. They use ton. All right, pounds like ounce, pounds, ton. And the funny thing is that pound is like, normally units, they carry probably the first letter of this thing, like quarts, QT, gallons, gal, you see yards, YD, but pounds, it does not have any connection to its units. Okay, pound was supposed to be like P, or like, that's weight, or like PO, but LB. A imperial system. All right, so these are like the pictures. I know you will be able to understand it better in pictures. That's why I created the pictures here. So you see 1 inch, the size of 1 inch. Just if you want to know what one inch is, just hold your finger and measure from here to here. Then you are going to know what 1 inch is. Okay, whenever you hear so when somebody says 10 inches, don't know that it's this 10 times, this thing 10 times. All right. So this last bone here, this is like an inch. All right. So 1 inch nail. I'm sure you know about 1 inch nail. So right now in my room here, I have like a 55-inch TV. All right. So me, I used to measure like inch from of TVs or screens from here, let's say, to here. And then normally I used to have, if I measure this thing and I had like, let's say 50 inches instead of 55. And I'm like, yo, this, you told me this is 55 inches, and I measure here, but they told me that when you are measuring the inches of screen, you start from one diagonal to the other. So whether it's a laptop screen, or this is how you measure it. That's how it was like, ooh, it's like the island people. I went there to buy TV and I measured it, and I told them, they told me that, it's like you measure it diagonally. That's how you measure screens. All right. So now you know what inches are. Let's talk about feet. 1 foot is like one long. I'm not talking about, most ladies or most men, our feet is like, it's less than 30 centimeters. All right. Like my feet is, I think last time I measured it, I had like, okay. It's less than a foot. You see? Okay, let me call. All right, so it's like less than a foot because this is a foot ruler. This is a foot ruler, and it's less than a foot. You see? But some people their feet are like it did not reach here. It did not stop here. All right. So most people their feet is not lesser, but in the olden days they are big foot, whatever. So a foot is roughly around 30 centimeters, which this is a foot ruler, as you can see. Okay, this is a 1 foot ruler. Okay, many offices or stationery stores they have it one foot ruler, as you can see here. All right, this is the 1 foot ruler. All right, this like a 1 foot ruler is just like the size of a foot, which is like 30 centimeters. So I'm sure you hear about 6 foot grave. 6 foot grave. It means that this thing 6 times. When you dig here 6, then you dig up to 6 times, like 6 feet under. All right. So feet. Know that whenever somebody say a foot, just calculate it as one big foot, maybe size 47. Yeah, what size 47? People who wear size 46, they are foot. All right. If you have a small foot, probably ladies, you can say 1 foot is equal to 2 of your feet when you combine them together. Okay, like people who have size 38, size 39. All right, so you hear about the yardstick. All right, those people who sell fabric, the nurse who sell like fabric, they have this yardstick, and then they measure the yards based on those sticks. And then you have heard about, if you are into football, I've made a lot of references that are football. Okay, let's say if you are measuring the 18-yard box, anybody who gets fouled there is penalty. So this is the 18-yard box. It means that from the line here all the way to this place is 18 yards. The 18 yards box. All right, when you can count. All right, I did not tell you this thing also. A yard. A yard is like this thing from the center of your chest, okay, all the way to the end of your hand, like this. Okay, like this. I don't know whether I'm showing in the camera, but just know that it's whatever. It's from here, the center of your chest to the end of your hand. It's a yard. All right. So this is a yardstick. This is 18-yard box. All right. Okay. So what else? All right. So let's say Mile 2 prison. Mile 2 prison is 2 miles from Banjul. 2 miles. Okay, a mile is like, I don't know how many yards or whatever. So 2 miles from Banjul, you have that's why they call it Mile 2 prison. All right. Before, in the olden days, they used to put this mile there, like where if you see this, let's say from Blandfetcher to Sarum is probably 5 miles. I don't know, something like that. That's why you hear the word milestone. So this is milestone for you. And sometimes on the road signs, even here, you see they're like 3 miles. I don't know what these miles mean. So I'm just telling you, miles means mostly you calculate it for longer distance. Okay. So another example is here, a barrel of oil. These are all, this is the ancient imperial system. They are still used today. A barrel of oil. It's like this. Okay. Gallon of cooking. This is a gallon. Damn, light. Africa. I don't know whether I should even continue, All right. So let me stop here and then I'll come back in a second when light comes back. Okay, so before Nawet switch off the lights, we stop at here. we are still in the imperial units, right? We say that a barrel, we still hear the word a barrel of oil today, gallons. All right, this is a gallon of oil. If you hear a gallon of oil, you know, in the Gambia here, we don't have this gallon, but in Senegal, they are these casamans, these kiren gallons. All right, you have a cup. They have cups, they have tablespoons. When you see cooking videos, they say just put there 2 tablespoons of table salt, tablespoon, whatever. This is like a quad. A quad is like Don Simon, you know. This is talking about volume. You know, volume mostly talks about liquids, and you know it also comes with physical stuff as well, but mostly liquids. All right. Well, like for example, this is a quart. Quart is like 1 liter, something like that. Okay. And this is a pint is like, you know, if you buy this rose milk, Melrose, it's like this. So it's like this is how they measure stuff in the imperial system when it comes to volume. And when it comes to mass, weight, how heavy something is. All right. So you see, for example, each one of these, a slice of bread, you know, weigh 1 ounce. 1 ounce. When you hold it, the ounce. Whenever you hear ounce, just think about a pencil. A pencil weigh 1 ounce. A battery. Okay, I think I have a battery here. All right. So a normal this triple A battery, and you know, it's not the AA battery, but you see, this weigh 1 ounce, as you can see, 1 ounce. All right. When you weigh it in your hands here, it weighs 1 ounce. All right, some of the things that weigh 1 ounce, dalasi, $1 also. You see, $1 here weighs 1 ounce. When you feel it in your hands here, okay, when you feel it in your hands, it weigh 1 ounce. What else weigh 1 ounce? A lot of stuff weigh 1 ounce. Okay, like a slice of bread. All right, you know, but when you have a whole slice, a full slice bread, 1 pound. 1 pound, sometimes you hear this is 3 pounds heavy, 2 pounds. So know that 1 pound means something like I normally eat sliced bread, you know. That's why I put sliced bread here, you know. I'm a fan of sliced bread, so I have that in my fridge always, you know. And a whole sliced bread weighs 1 pound. Normally, when you see a sliced bread, you know, in the Gambia here, I don't know what is the weight of our foods and tapalapas. You know, they are standard weights, but I don't know. I will have to find out how much is a food should weigh in the Gambia. And you see, like when you hold 3 apples, sorry, 4 apples together, when you hold 4 apples in your hands, not 1 apple, 4 apples together, when you hold them in your hand, you will have 1 pound. All right. So as still example on pounds, normally women standard size is 130 pounds. Okay, as you can see, plus size, you know, this lady is obviously bigger, so she should weigh more. So it's 200 pounds normally. This is like size 25. I don't know how they size up. For me, when it comes to my weight in pounds, it's around 150 pounds. That's how much I weigh in because my weight is around like 64 kilograms and stuff, you know. So it's roughly 150 pounds. So okay, an elephant weighs 1 ton, 1 ton, or a small car. All these things, you know, these are just common examples. So that when I say 1 pound, or when anybody say 1 pound, just you can picture how when somebody say 3 pounds, when you know 1 pound is like a loaf of, you know, sliced bread here, you are going to picture now how anybody, if somebody say 32 pounds, or if you know that you are like 150 pounds heavy, and somebody mention anything like that 300 pounds somewhere or 200, you're going to relate it to your weight and say, oh, something is like when something is 300 pounds, it's like 2 times my weight, something like that. Right, so these are the common examples. Now we come to the modern metric system. The metric system, this is what the most of the world uses today. Okay, this is the modern form of measurement. It originated in France. It was also around, you know, the 18th century during their Enlightenment period, during the wars, the Revolutionary Wars. You know, after that, you know, they decided to get out of the old to come to the new. Yes, so the metric system as we know it today, especially the meter, originated from France, right? Thank you, France. It came about as the need to standardize, systematize everything, especially international standard. The USA and to some extent Britain are the only major countries that have not fully adopted the metric system in their system, all right? Although some of their sectors, as I mentioned earlier, have adopted the metric. Like in the US, their military, they use the metric system, meters, centimeters. But in normal everyday life, they use the imperial system, which is yards, inches, feet, and the likes. All right. The current international standard for the metric system is the International System of Units, which is System International de Unité, or what, SI units. Remember, I don't know whether it's high school or junior school, we used to learn about the SI units, which are the 7 basic SI units, all right, which are what? The meter, the kilogram, the second, the ampere, the Kelvin, the mole, and the candela. These are the 7 basic units from which all other measurements are derived from. Let's say from the meter, we can get their area, volume, kilogram is mass, like things like speed. We get it from the 7 basic units, all right? Although in this topic, we are not going to delve into all of them. We are just going to stay with meter and kilogram, all right? We are not going to calculate time here, electricity, like temperature, nothing. Just kilometer and kilograms. All right, so meter is what? It measures distance, and also from there we can derive area, we can derive volume. All right, kilogram is for mass. All right, so these 7 basic units are the fundamental units of measurement where all other quantities of measurement such as speed and volume are derived from. Here, as you can see here, the metric system, the base units are here: kilogram, candela, Kelvin, the meter, the second, the ampere, the mole, and everything else. All right. So I now get into what we call metric prefixes. All right. So the SI units can be made into larger or smaller units through prefixes. Prefixes are very important. The reason why we have, the reason why we have kilometer, let's say, the reason why we have kilometer, the reason why we have centimeter, all right, the reason why we have millimeter, all right, is because of prefixes. Remember, we are all talking about the meter. Okay, the base unit for measurement of length is meter. All right, so the reason why we add the kilo here, or the milli, or the centi, all right, is because of prefixes. All right, we have the meter here, okay, and we add the prefix. Prefix is like either you say kilo, or you say centi, all right, or you say milli, or you say nano, because you will have all these prefixes here. Okay, you have, okay, if you press here, you are going to have, all right, you have milli, centi. These are the things attached to the word meter. All right, so like kilo, we all know kilo is meter. So the reason why I made these ones in bold is because they are the ones we use in everyday life. All right, there is something called like decameter, there is hectometer, but we barely, probably this is from the hectare. Hectares means one. That's why they say a hectare is what? 100, 100 times 100 gives you 10,000 square meters. That's why they call it hectare. All right, we'll get to that very soon. So let's say kilo, we use it every day. All right, although some of these units we also use them. Let's say mega, like as in megabytes. Okay, some like giga, as in gigabytes, terabytes. Like this is probably a 1 terabyte hard drive. Terabyte, tera. It means tera means you multiply something, I don't even know what to call this figure, 1,000 billion million times. Giga means 1 billion from the unit, from the base here. It can be, the base for length is meters, right? But the base for mass is grams. All right, so you have to know that different measurements have their own base. Like there is a base for like temperature, which is 0 degrees or like whatever. So this one, the base is meter. We are talking about length here. So you know that deci, milli, centi, like these are all prefixes. All right. So I think I've given an example here of what prefix is here. So I said here. The SI units can be made into smaller. A prefix is simply a word placed before another word, e.g. super in market, supermarket. You have the market here and you have the super there, meaning it's something super, extra in extraordinary. You have ordinary, right? But if you put the extraordinary, it means, it's something big. All right. Metric prefixes include kilo, mega, centi, deci, milli. These are the things, prefixes applied to the word meter. That's why if you attach kilo to meter, you have kilometer. If you attach mega to meter, you have megameter. Like centi to meter, you have centimeter. Milli to meter, you have millimeter. Nano to meter, you have nanometer. So these are the prefixes, and I've told you what these prefixes are. They are in base. This is the advantage that the metric system has over the imperial system. This is because the imperial system does not have prefixes, all right? Because you cannot have like something like kilo inch, kilo inch, kilo inch, or mega yard, or centi yard. You have centimeters, you have millimeters, but for metric for the imperial system, it does not have prefixes. That's why it is crap. So the metric system, it has prefixes. Okay, sometimes you feel like using centimeter, you use centimeter. If you feel like using millimeter, you use millimeter. All right, so it's very important. So I said here the main reason why we use the metric prefix is to help us avoid decimals, fractions, and large numbers. All right, I've given an example here. Let's say if we say that the distance between Banjul to Westfield to Banjul, the distance between Westfield to Banjul is 7 kilometers. All right, it's 7 kilometers. Okay, let me demonstrate it here. All right, let's say we have here Westfield all the way to Banjul. Okay, so it's 7 kilometers. 7 kilometers. Why can't we say it in meters? 7 kilometers. All right. Okay. Why can't we say, because normally when the meter first came, the metric system, everything has to be said in meters. All right. It's supposed to be, what is 7 kilometers? 7 kilometers is 7,000 meters, because 1,000 meters make 1 kilometer. All right. Shouldn't we have said, this thing, shouldn't we have said 7,000 meters? The reason why we put there, why we added prefixes, is because we are not comfortable with big numbers. All right. So if we put there 7 kilometers, it means 7,000 meters. It's all the same, but we just want to use simple numbers like here 7 instead of 7,000. Or sometimes you want to calculate some things like you want to calculate certain things that are, let's say, something that is 0.3. This meter ruler, this foot ruler, sorry, it's like 0.3 meters. 0.3 meters. As we know, in real life, people are not comfortable with decimals and people are not comfortable with fractions. All right. So this 0.3 is like 1/3, something like that. Okay. So instead of that, the reason why we put centimeters or millimeters there is so that we can have a whole number. All right. So 0.3, instead of saying it in meters, you can say it in centimeters, because 0.3 meters is equals to 30 centimeters. 30 centimeters. Why? Because 100 centimeters make 1 meter. We will come to conversion later, but I'm just telling you, it's better to say 30 centimeter than to say 0.3 or 0.4 something. All right. So it's very important why we use prefixes, and you see them everywhere. That's what gave us milli, centi, kilo. Otherwise, we will have just used everything in meters. Meter. This is 0.3 meters. This is 0.0004 meter. This is 1 million meters. But instead of using all those, imagine 1 million meter. What is 1 million meter? All right. 1 million meter is mega. All right. So when you measure something that is 1 million meters, all right, instead of saying 1 million meters, just say 1 megameter. You see, instead of saying something is like 73,000 meters, just say it's 7.3 kilometers, something like that. All right. So these are the metric prefixes, and now let's go into the metric, the common metric unit itself. Remember, we are going to only concentrate on length, area, volume, and mass. All right. So this is the millimeter. This is the millimeter. Remember, the millimeter is used to measure very, very small things. Because when you are measuring very, very small things, you don't want to use meters there. Because if you use meters, you will be talking about 0.0000. Like, for example, if you want to measure the distance between, let me take any common stuff here, any common stuff. All right, let's say the distance of the width of this thing here, this thing here, all right, of the Dallas. All right, this is the side of the Dallas, right? Okay, this is also the thickness of the Dallas, or you can say the height. Okay, this is one side, and this is the. So imagine here, if you use, this is like 1 millimeter. This is like 1 millimeter if you measure it. If you want to say it in meters, it will be like 0.001 meters. Imagine telling somebody, hey, this width is 0.001 meters. Okay, they will be confused. But if you tell somebody this is 1 millimeter, they'll be like, okay, 1 millimeter. Yeah, I get it. All right. So very, very small distances, you use what? millimeters. All right. For normal distances that are not that much small, they are like, they are like for example, the distance between, okay, I have a meter ruler here, so the distance between here and here, you can just say is 30 centimeters, and rather than saying is 0.3 meters, which is true. 0.3 meters is there, but we don't want to use points. All right, that's in order to avoid decimals, we just use it. Or sometimes where you have like something like my height is 180 centimeters, my height. All right, 185 centimeters, that's my height. All right, but I don't, if I want to say it in meters, my height, let me write it down here. All right, so as you should know here, my height is 185 centimeters. All right, why did I say it in centimeters and not in meters? Why? Because if I say in meters, I'll be like 1.885 meters. All right, you don't want to say 1.85, that is point is there, which is all the same, 1.85 meters and 85 185 centimeters. They are all the same because 1.85 times 100, so it's just like this. You have 185 centimeters. All right, and you are good to go. All right, so this is like how you measure things, whether small or large, or when you want to avoid decimals. All right, so meter is the base unit, for larger objects. Let's say for a land, most of the time when you are measuring the land, you say it's like 20 by 20 meters. That mostly we use meters, to be quite frank, especially in event planning. Most of the units you are going to see is the meter, right? You are going to encounter a lot of meters. All right, and you have like kilometer. All right, kilometer is from like distances between two places, like the distance between Banjul and Serekunda. It's for longer, very large distances. All right, so for area as well, it depends on which unit you use. If you use millimeter, you say millimeter square. Area contains, the units always contain square with them. All right, if you say if you use centimeter, you say centimeter square. If you use meter, you use meter square. And there is a unit hectare, HA. Remember, I told you HA means 100 times 100. 100 meter times 100 meter gives you 10,000 square meters, because 100 times 100 is 10,000, and you add the square meter. It's for very large area. Maybe you want to calculate the area of an estate, like that will say we have 10 hectares of land to develop, blah blah. So an hectare is like it's another calculation of area. All right, so still on the metric units we have volume. All right, so here just like the square area, if you choose centimeter, you say centimeter cube. If you choose meter, you say meter cube. So it depends on which one you use. So normally when measuring liquids or containers that carry liquids, all right, we use liters. I don't know where the word liter came from. Probably it's liquid, liter, well, whatever. So when you are measuring liquid, when you are measuring the volume of liquid, you use liters. When you are measuring the volume of solid bodies like this, let me come. Solid bodies like this, all right, you use what you use cubic meters, cubic centimeters. But because for this one is very small, we use what cubic, probably centimeters, or we use cubic meters still now. All right, depending on what we use. All right, we just measure the height. This is the height. All right, this is the length, and this is the width. This is the width, and then we can get the volume of this thing. So for liquids, we use liters. All right, if you can see here, this thing, I'll get to that, but if you look at this bottle of water, you see here they put here what 500 milliliters, ml. Okay, ml is here. Wherever you see ml is no ml, liters. So this is for small quantities, milliliters for small quantities. For larger quantities, you can use liters. All right, and what else do we have here? All right, so we have mass time. All right, we have mass. So for mass, we use milligrams. This is milligrams, mg, grams, g, kilograms. Kilograms. You have metric tons or t. This is the symbols. All right. So for milligrams, you use very milligrams is 100 of a gram. That's why it's 1,000 of a gram. That's why it's called a milligram. So it's very light, very light objects. Okay, things like pharmaceutical products, Okay, then you have grams. You know, the base unit is like for example, like this is reference. The reference here, I'm just explaining what you can think it of as like 12 pencils. 12 pencils will make 1 gram, something like very light objects. All right. So for kilogram, you know, it's for like very heavy, sorry, it's heavy objects, like when you are measuring the weight of human beings or stuff, you know, like you use kilograms, right? Grams is for light objects, like the amount of milk powder inside this, you know, inside this milk powder sachet. You know, a sachet of milk powder is probably to, like, they will tell you is 20 gram, 30 gram, 15 gram, whatever. But for heavy objects like human beings, you use kilograms. And for here, very very heavy objects, you use what, tons, right? If you are calculating like a container of rice, you say how many metric tons, or the size of a vehicle. Okay, I'm going to give you the examples here. So you see here, for example, you have millimeters. Okay, when should you use millimeters to measure stuff? You know, probably I say the thickness of a SIM card. You see, this is the thickness of a SIM card. It's roughly 1 millimeter. All right, probably even the thickness of this $1 is 1 millimeter. All right, if you look at this $1 here, it's 1 millimeter. If you measure it, all right, 1 millimeter. All right, so that's the time when you are measuring very very small distances, okay, or even like larger distances. But you know, because if you use centimeter there, it's going to give you decimal, so you're just comfortable with, like, even in pipes. Like for example, if you are like the types of pipes we use for construction, all right, like this these pipes also we use for, you know, electric cable, where you know, all this stuff we use millimeters, because if you try to use centimeters and what, this thing, you're going to have a lot of decimals, and people are not comfortable with decimals, so we just use it for milli. Imagine this 1 millimeter here. If you wanted to say the distance, the thickness of a SIM card is 0.1 centimeters. Like, people are not comfortable with 0.1. It's better to say, because 0.1 centimeter is the same as 1 millimeter. All right, so it's like that. All right, so you have this. It's like when you take a ruler. This is the centimeter ruler, a 1 foot ruler. All right, so 1 centimeter is here, and how many millimeters make 1 centimeter? If you count here, you're going to realize it's 10. You say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right, so this is millimeter. This is millimeter, very small, and this is centimeter, very big. All right, so what is a centimeter? When somebody says 1 centimeter, what should come in your mind? Just hold your finger, your middle finger here, and look from this side. Let's say from this side to this side. All right, let's say from this side to this side. All right, this distance here, okay, is 1 centimeter. Always, most of human beings are from this side to this side, 1 centimeter. So whenever somebody say 3 centimeter, 10 centimeter, just assume that this is from this side. Like, you multiply by how many number you think it's like that. So this is 1 centimeter. Or sometimes you can think about this foot, 30 centimeter ruler. You will know that when somebody say 90 centimeter, just know that this ruler is like, this ruler is present in most places, but just also know that 1 centimeter is like this. All right. All right. So what else do we have? We have the meter. All right. As I said, this is the meter ruler. All right. This is where all other measurements are derived from. Remember, all these things, centimeter, millimeter, they are all derived from the meter. All right. This centimeter is like 1/100th of a meter. This is like 1,000th of a meter, because it's one divided by 1,000. 1 meter divided by 1,000 gives you one millimeter. All right, so this is the meter rule. This is where all measurement. So if you want to know what a meter is, all right, you know, the reason why I'm giving you this example is what I want you to picture it in your head. When somebody say 1 meter or 3 meters, you should picture it in your head that this is. Or when you look at something, when you look at a distance from your mind, you should be able to calculate what a meter is roughly, at least roughly, to know that this place I'm looking at it is like, you know, it's like 3 meters, something like that. So it's very important. Or you say, okay, I'm looking at this, you know, laptop. I think it is like 40 centimeters, something like that, the width. So it's very important, so that you can, you know, be able to approximate from your, and not always try to use rulers. It's because of, when you, example, like every door, standard door, from the ground to the handle is always 1 meter. Measure a lot of any door, and you will notice that it's almost 1 meter. All right, or one big step here. I made one big step. One big step, and you see the meter rule, where it start and where it stop. One big step. So normally when we go to measure clients' places, and we don't have a tape line there or stuff, we just try to make one big step. All right. I'm not saying some people are short, some people, but for me, like I'm average size probably. I'm average. I'm tall, whatever. But many people, they went one big step is like 1 meter. All right. And let's say we all watch football, right? So imagine a whole length of a football field, of a standard football field, is 100 meters. All right. Some football fields are slightly larger, longer, or shorter, but a standard is 100 meters. And this side to this side, the width is always 50 meters of a standard. So if you want to know what 100 meter is, just think about a football field in your head, and you are going to picture what 100 meter is. If somebody say 50 meters, just say probably it's half of a football field. All right. Remember, we talk about yards, where we talk about from here to here is 18 yards, something like that. This is the 6 yard. I think this is the six yard box. Okay, so that is like common example. And also here it's very important to know what 1 meter is. All right, always 1 meter is from the nipple, from your nipple here. Let me put this thing. All right, so it's going to be like from your nipple to the end of your hand. All right, from your nipple to the end of your hand is what is 1 meter. Remember, when we are talking about yard, it's from the center of your chest to the end of your hand, like when you lift it up 90 degrees, like this. All right, mostly when you are measuring fabric. All right, when you put it on your chest and you make it like this, all right, you are measuring 1 yard. But when you put it from your nipple, I don't know how big your nipple is, but whatever. All right, so you from your nipple to the end of your hand. People's hands are different, but this is just trying to estimate stuff. Okay, from your nipple to the end of your hand is 1 meter. All right, from your chest to the end of your hand is 1 yard. All right, as you can see here, we have the meter ruler, and I put this on my nipple here, and is, as you can see here. All right, so as you can see here, right, from my nipple here all the way to the end, you're going to see that it is 1 meter. All right. All right. So common examples where we use kilometers. All right. So kilometers is for light stuff. Let's say the distance between Westfield and Serakunda Market is 7 kilometers. It's 1 kilometer. Sorry, it's 1 kilometer. Distance between Westfield and Serakunda Market is 1 kilometer. All right. That shows that it is like 10 football fields, because if one football field is 100 meters. 10 football fields is like 1,000 meters, right? Which is 1 kilometer. So anytime somebody say 1 kilometer, just picture this: either from Master Serakunda to Westfield is 1 kilometer, or 10 football fields is 1 kilometer. And the distance between Westfield and Denton Bridge is like 7 kilometers, 7 kilometers. So when you make all these references in your head, whenever somebody say any type of kilometer, you are able to deduct, you are able to take it. When it comes to this type of thing, you need to have a reference of something in your head. Like when somebody say 1 meter, you just picture 1 meter, how it is. Or when somebody say 32 meters, you are going to be like, okay, 1 meter is like this, and 32 meters is going to be like, 32 steps, 32 piece steps, or 32 things like this, So these pictures here are just for you to reference as well, to know. All right. So calculation of area. All right. So calculation of area. All right. Metric units for the calculation of area. As you know, how do you calculate area? Is length times breadth to know the area of something. You see, 1 square meter is like, this side is one meter and this side is 1 meter. You have 1 square meters, and it normally has the square there. All right. So, and you see this rock here, this carpet. Okay. Why is it a 12 square meter carpet? It's because this side is 3 and this side is 4. The area now becomes 12 square meters. All right, and here this is 1 hectare. All right, what is 1 hectare? 1 hectare is like the size of 2 football fields joined together. All right, gives you 1 hectare. All right, 100 meters over times 100 meters gives you 1 hectare. 1 hectare is like 10,000 square meters. Okay, that's why when we are talking about the prefixes, we talk about the hectare, which is like this. The prefixes, you see, hecto. Hecto means 100. Hecto means 100. So that's what we have here. 100 times 100. That's why they call it hecto. Hectare. 1 hectare of land, whatever. So, okay. So that's it. So we talk about volume as well. Volume. All right. So volume means length times width times rest. Remember, it has cubic something here. CBM. CBM. You know, I told you that, you know, when we are ordering stuff from China, other places, they charge us per CBM. This is like one CBM you are seeing here, like 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter. As you can see here, this is 8 CBM. Okay, 8 cubic meters. So you see here, it's like this people. It's like this thing. You add another 1 CBM up, 1 CBM here, 1 CBM there. So altogether you have 8 CBM here, 8 cubic meters. As you see, this is for solid objects, you use cubic meters or cubic centimeters, solid objects. But for liquid objects, most of the time you use liters. As you see, Don Simon is 1 liter. This is the Don Simon. Like, I don't have a Don Simon in my fridge, but I have this crest. They are crest, as you can see here. Right? This is 1 liter. I think the 1 liter is even written here. 1 liter, as you can see here, 1 liter. All right. So 1 liter is like 10 centimeter cubes, 10 centimeter cube, like 10 centimeter times 10 centimeter. That's how they were able to deduce 1 liter. All right. And then you have, you know, we all see these 20-liter water oil bottles, cooking oil bottle. We mostly put here water, probably to reserve water and most of the time. So cooking oil bottles, 20-liter is like, you know, 20, because 20 Don Simon, if you put 20 Don Simons in here, you are going to have like, this is like 20 Don Simon bottles poured down here. All right. And the everyday waters that we drink, all right, this is the 1.5 liter. 1.5 liter, you know, I usually keep some Wonjo in my fridge. All right, it's making everything wet here. But okay, this is 1.5 liters, as you can see here, 1.5 liters. All right, whoops, where is it? 1.5 liters. All right, 1.5 liters. All right, so this is like the reference of that thing, 1.5 liters. All right, let me wipe this thing. All right, 500 milliliter bottles, as you can see here, these are the 500 milliliter bottles. As you can see, 500 milliliter bottles here. All right, yeah. All right, 500 milliliters. So 3 of these things make up the 1.5 liter bottle, because 500 times 3 is 1,500 milliliters. 1,500 milliliters is like 1.5 liters. All right. So here they are, as you can see here. All right, so this is for volume. Remember, volume measures how big something is entirely, not just one surface area. All right, and how and also the carrying capacity of something. All right, you remember here we have 3 sides, 1, 2, 3. Remember, for area we have only 2 sides, 1, 2. That's what we measure. But here we measure the entire item. So when it comes to metric units, when it comes to for weight, all right, just know that, you know, like for example, what is one gram? 1 gram of something. Let's say this $100 or $200 weigh 1 gram. All right, this is 1 gram. This is 1 gram. Whenever somebody say gram, just say it's like the size of let's say of a $200 or $100 bill. All right, or one razor blade weighs 1 gram. Or a cube of sugar. I think I have a cube of sugar. No need to bring it here. So, or a chewing gum. A chewing gum weighs what? 1 gram. 1 gram. So whenever you hear somebody say 1 gram, 2 gram, this gram, all right. So 1 kilogram. What is 1 kilogram? Okay, 1 liter full of stuff is 1 kilogram. All right, 1 liter of something is always 1 kilogram. All right. So 1 kilogram. This thing, the weight of a Don Simon is 1 kilogram. Or you can say the weight of 2 small bottles of water, the 500 milliliter bottles of water, 2 of them weigh 1 kilogram. So whenever you see here about kilogram, just know that, you know, probably if you are used to, you know, Don Simon and stuff, just know that it's the weight of a Don Simon full of Don Simon juice, of course. All right, and this water full of water as well. All right, 500 milliliters and it's full of water. 2 of them, if you hold them together, I think I have another bottle of water here. If you hold them together, you're going to have 1 kilo. 1 kilo. All right. And also, what is also 1 kilo as well? All right, a football is 1 kilo, and a pineapple also weigh 1 kilo. All right. All right. The average weight of a person is usually 62 kilos. Okay, most people they weigh 62 kilos, slightly around the average. So normally when you weigh yourself, this will be around 62 kilos. All right. So whenever you hear about 50 kilo, that means that people weigh more than a bag of rice, because the normal bag of rice we have is 50 kilos. You see, bags of rice, each one of them has 50 kilos. And you know, 1 ton, we always hear 1 ton. What is 1 ton? 1 ton is like when you take 20 of these bags, when you pile them together, you have what? 1 ton. You always see we have 3 metric tons of of this thing in our container. Or so whenever you hear tons, know that it's like 20 bags of rice put together. All right.